Yes, we were talking of allegory, the work, The Crater. That is an allegory of the rise and fall of the United States. Then there is a work that he wrote in later period, The Ways of the Hour. That is a scornful satire about American social life and legal practices. As we know, the aim of writing satire is the remedy of the modes and manners of the society. So he wrote this satire as well, The Ways of the Hour. Then let's move to the magnum opus that is prescribed in syllabus of various universities, including IGNOU in India. The work by James Fenimore Cooper. Its name is The Last of the Mohicans. See, when we do not know the words exactly, sometimes they may seem very alien to us. Initially, when I read that word Mohicans, I couldn't interpret in a better manner. So I thought, what kind of title is this? But when I know the meaning, I feel very much connected with it. Because now I can interpret the title itself after reading about it. See, let's talk of title first. Mohicans. Its another variant is Mohicans. Here we are having Mohicans. The other word that we are having is Mahicans. So Mohicans are Mohicans. They stand for, see, that is written on this page. Mohican or Mohican stands for a member of American Indian people. American Indian, another word that we have to understand. That is used for Native Americans. Don't be confused with the use of Indian here. That somehow linked with our country India or not. So Mohican or Mohican stands for a member of American Indian people of the upper Hudson River Valley. So there is a place, Hudson River Valley. Hudson River is there and the valley concerned with that, Hudson River Valley. The people, the Native American who lives there in that particular area, they are known as Mohican or Mohican. This is a kind of, you can say, a tribe there, Mohican. So when we say the last of the Mohicans, it means it talks of the ending of Mohicans. The ending. See, the title suggests a lot. Why is that being ended? Why a particular tribe is being ended, or it seems being ended? That is our concern here also in this novel. The Last of the Mohicans. The subtitle is A Narrative of 1757. See, this particular word narrative is a very useful word while discussing literature, novel. See, simply when we talk of the word narrate, that means to tell, to say something, to talk about something. From this word narrate becomes that word narrative. Narrative actually is not a very simple word as we understand. Here, as the writer uses the word narrative, it means it is a kind of tale. He says that at a tale of 1757. But when we look to the word narrative, it has political connotation as well. How a tale is made politically. How a tale is propagated. How myths are formed. So sometimes, many times, political leaders, for spreading their propaganda, for spreading their ideology, they make several kinds of narrative. So narrative is knitted, 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 बुना जाता है. As we know a word in English, conspiracy, षड्यंत्र. Conspiracy is made. No, there is a very beautiful word for that, is intricated. Conspiracy is intricated, intricated, as we see that word being used by William Shakespeare in his work Julius Caesar, where a conspiracy is intricated against Caesar by Brutus and others. So, narrative is knitted. Okay, just focus on the title and the subtitle. I hope now some concern of the title is clear. The last of the Mohicans means here we are going to talk of some Mohicans who stand at the end of the generation, means from whom the generation is going to be vanished. The last of the Mohicans. A narrative of 1757, and this year 1757 tells much. See, it was published in 1826, so nearly 50 to 70 years. 70 years means the writer is talking of a historical phenomenon took place 70 years back. So here we'll find he talks of French and Indian War. See, that war is famous with this one only name, French and Indian War. The other name that is used for that war is 7 Years' War, because it was for nearly 7 years, from 1757 to 1763. That's why this is a narrative of 1757. It's a historical novel, and as I told you, second among Leatherstocking Tales series, and that series is pentalogy, means 5 novels were there, and among those 5, this was the second one. As I told you, it is set in 1757 during the French and Indian War. Once again, don't be confused with Indian as India here. No. French and Indian War, now focus on it. It was fought between France and Great Britain. And with France, Spain was also there. That is not clearly mentioned here. It was fought between France and Great Britain. For what? For control of North America. See, when you see history, you will find how these European countries fought among themselves for colonizing other places like America or India. Even in India, we have different battles fought between France and England. Before this introduction of British rule here, when they came here as traders. So, this French and Indian War, which is known as 7 Years' War, it was fought between France and Great Britain for control of North America. During this war, both the French and the British, see, why are we using the French, the British? I think I have told you earlier also that language and identity goes parallel. They goes simultaneously together. Means the language becomes identity. You know that line from सारे जहाँ से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा? In the nearly last lines we have this phrase, हिंदी है हम, हिंदी है हम, हिंदी है हम, वतन है हिंदुस्तान हमारा. Hindi. Hindi is our language. Hindi is our identity as well. Means we are Hindi, to which we say Indian in English nowadays. So, as the people of America are called the Americans, their language is American. But when you talk of the people that become the Indian, the American. The similar manner, people of England are called the English. Their language is English. So when we have to talk of the identity of a people concerned with a particular language, we just put the before the language. So during this war, both the French and the British used Native American allies. Think about it. They are fighting for North America, means for capturing North America. And while doing so, they are fighting among each other, but they both are using Native Americans. Means only they are not fighting, they are using Native Americans there on the both sides. And that's why this is called French and Indian War. You got it? Indian War. The French, but especially when we talk of French, the French were particularly dependent. Dependent means they were on the weaker end, on the receiving end, and that's why they became loser. The Britishers became victorious, and after that victory, there is something called Treaty of Paris. This is also known as Treaty of 1763. This took place in history. So after, Britain became victorious, this treaty was signed. This took place in 1763, and it was signed by Great Britain, France and Spain. As I told you, that Spain was also there, with Portugal in agreement. So Portugal was also there for agreement of that treaty. So the novel is set primarily in Upper New York wilderness. This is the setting of the novel. means New York is in the center, Upper New York Wilderness, detailing the transport of two daughters of Colonel Munro. So there is one person, Colonel Munro. Who was he? He was in the charge of Fort William. We'll talk about him. So he had two daughters, Alice and Cora. So for transporting them to a safe destination at Fort William Henry, located on Lake George, New York. So in New York, there is a place called Lake George, and in that place there is a fort named as Fort William Henry. Kila, Fort William Henry. And in charge of that very fort, their father was there, Colonel Munro. So this work of transporting these two daughters to that particular safe destination, the work was assigned to the people. Like, see, we have there is a group who did this job. Among the caravan, Caravan, among the caravan guarding the women are frontiersmen. Frontier means border of two countries. So frontiersman means the people living on the border, or you can say the army that is there in the charge for that border. So frontiersman, among those frontiersmen we have Natty Bumppo. I have talked about him earlier also. Natty Bumppo, Nattybumpo. Then Major Duncan Hayward, and two Mohicans were there. See, Mohicans, that is eponymous to the novel. Eponymous means that suggests the title. The Mohicans, those were native Indians, American Indian. Their name was Chingachgook. Mind it, Chingachgook. That is the name of the father, and his son was there, who is Uncas. These characters are sometimes seen as a microcosm of the budding American society. Microcosm. As we are acquainted with the phrase Pindete Brahmande, when you have to know the Brahmand, you should know the Pind. While by knowing the Pind, you can know the Brahmand. So this is the work of microcosm. As we see just 2 or 3 rices out of that bath that we cook, we don't touch each and every rice present in that container for knowing the whole. So microcosm. So by seeing them, you can think of the budding American society at that time. They are the depiction. They are the microcosm of that society. When we talk of historical background, see, since we are talking of historical novel, we must be aware of historical background. What was the thing that compelled Cooper to write such work? At the time of Cooper's writing, US settlers, who were the settlers? The Europeans. US settlers believed in and perpetuated the myth. See, they are perpetuating the myth. Means something which is not true, but that is being told again and again. And as you know, 100 बार एक झूठ को बोला जाए तो वो सच जैसा लगने लगता है. That is how myth is spread. That is how propaganda is spreaded through political parties. By political parties, sorry. So, at the time of Cooper's writing, US settlers believed in and perpetrated the myth. What was the myth? That Native Americans were disappearing. Think about it. Why were they disappearing? Where were they going? Believing they would ultimately be assimilated or killed off. Assimilated means mixed can take place, not pure blood. They can be mixed among the Europeans or killed off. Entirely due to what? Genocidal structure. Do you know what is genocide? Genocide is a kind of mass massacre when several people are killed all together. So genocidal structure of settler colonialism. So see, this is the effect of colonialism. When Europeans were being settled there, they tried to kick out the native Indians, the Native Americans, out of their place, made them disappeared or killed them altogether for minimizing their strength, for minimizing their numbers, for minimizing their presence on their own earth, their own country. Cooper, the writer, Cooper was interested in the theme of, what was the theme? American frontier of transition. Transition, as you understand the word transition, Sankraman Kal in Hindi, when one is dead and there is yet to be born. एक मर गया, दूसरा पैदा भी नहीं हुआ, अभी होने वाला है. बीच वाला समय. As we talk of Godhuli Bela, when day is going to be ended and night has not yet come. So, Cooper was interested in the theme of American frontier of transition, or the American progress narrative. See, American progress narrative, how this progress is taking place. See how as we see one narrative, political narrative, if you have to remove poverty, just kill all the poor people. गरीबों को ही मार दो, गरीबी खत्म हो जाएगी. That kind of progress that people were witnessing at that time, American progress narrative. That is his concern. When more colonists were increasing pressure on the Native Americans in the name of ethnocentric progress. See, I have used this red pen because of these all words are very important while understanding the narrative of the novel. Ethnocentric progress. Ethnocentric, you understand? Ethnocentric means when Europe is in the center. You will find such words in Orientalism by Edward Said. Ethnocentric progress. It is as if a person comes to your house after spending some days in your house. He tells you to behave according to his nature, to behave as he wants you to behave. This is what always done by colonialists. They reached to these places and they tried to make ethnocentric progress. So they wanted to make progress according to their thought. And while doing so, if they had to kill the native people, they could do that very easily. In the name of ethnocentric progress. This is how they spread their ideology. We are making you civilized, you uncultured, uncivilized people. You don't know anything. You don't know how to wear a cloth. You don't know how to behave. You don't know manners. I hope now the historical background is clear for this novel. So, move to the characters. Knowing characters before knowing the plot is very important. Chingachgook, that is last chief of the Mohican tribe. Last chief. As we have Guru Gobind Singh as the last living guru of Sikhism. Last chief of the Mohican tribe. He is an escort to the Monroe sisters. Means he is guarding there. He is there with them for guarding them. An escort to the Monroe sisters. And as I told you earlier also, he is father to Yunkas. Novel's title suggests his death. Last of Mohicans, means with the death of this Chingachgook, or with the death of this Yunkas, that particular tribe is going to be ended. And that shows their death suggests the title of the novel suggests their death. And interestingly enough, when we talk of this Chingachgook, the meaning of that name is big snake. Then other character is Yunkas himself, the son. This particular phrase, last of Mohicans, is being used for Yunkas. Who is using that? You can say he is a titular hero, or you can say this novel is an eponymous novel. Eponymous as the name of the character, that is the name of the novel. So Yunkas is being called as last of Mohicans by his father. What was the reason behind that? As there were no pure-blooded Mohican women. See, these two are existing. Pure-blooded, native Indian Mohicans. But there were no pure-blooded Mohican women for him to marry. So if he marries other woman, that pure blood is not there, means that is not considered to be that native one. He is also known as Le Chef Agile. Then there is this Nathaniel Bumpo. That is not Nathaniel, that is Natty Bumpu. I don't think this is Nathaniel. I might be out of mind while writing this as Nathaniel. Okay, so Natty Bumpu. He is also known as a Hawkeye. Hawkeye, as if very attentive. he is another escort to Monroe sisters. So he is there with those Mohicans and others for guarding those Monroe sisters. And there is the villain, whose name is Magua. The villain, a Huron, Huron, a Huron chief. Huron is also a tribe, you can understand. A Huron chief. So he is also chief of a tribe, another tribe. A Huron chief driven from his tribe. Why? Why he is kicked out? For his drunkenness. So he has the habit of drinking. That's why he is made out of his tribe. He is known as Le Renard Subtil. The French phrase Le Renard Subtil, the meaning of that is sly fox. Lomadi jaisi chanaki, dhurtata, that is cunningness that he has. Magua. Then comes Monroe daughter, Cora Monroe, a dark-haired. See, this is to be understood. I have used the black pen here, dark-haired. Why? Because she is the daughter of an Englishman. She must not have that dark hair, but she is having. Why? We'll know the reason. A dark-haired daughter of Colonel Monroe, serious, intelligent, and calm in the face of danger. So she confronts danger very patiently. Her mother, whom Monroe met and married in West Indies, was a mulatto. See, this is the reason why this girl, Cora Monroe, has dark hair. Because her father is an Englishman, but her mother is not. Was a mulatto, M-U-L-A-T-T-O. What is this mulatto? Mixed race woman. Mixed race woman. So, and her mother, she died when Cora was young. Then other Monroe daughter, the half sister, means not from the same mother, but from another lady whose name is Alice Graham. She is Cora's half sister, stepsister, cheerful, playful, frail, and charming. She is the daughter of Monroe's second wife, whose name is Alice Graham. Then Colonel Monroe, a British Army colonel in command of Fort William Henry. See, Alice Monroe, as I was writing about her, I thought of that great writer, Alice Monroe. So don't be confused with that great female writer, Alice Monroe, with this character, Alice Monroe. Then Duncan Hayward, he is also he is a British Army major, and he falls in love with Alice Monroe. Then there is David Gamut. Who is this David Gamut? He is known as the singing master. Why? Because he is the teacher of sham singing. P-S-A-L-M, sham. There is a very famous poem, Sham of Life. One must read that. Sham. P is silent here. The singing master. David Gamut is singing master. He is a teacher of sham singing. Then there is General Daniel Webb. He is Monroe's commanding officer. Means commanding officer of that Colonel Monroe. Then there is General Marquis de Montcalm, who is the French commander-in-chief. Then there is another very interesting character, Taminund, Taminund, an ancient, wise, and revered sage, a saint who gets very much respect and honor by the people. Very old, who has outlived 3 generations of warriors. He could perceive 3 generations of warriors, so he had much experience, and time to time he makes prophecies as well. As in the end of the novel, we will see how he prophesies, how he makes prophecy. Okay, so this was somewhat introduction of that novel, The Last of Mohicans. We'll talk about the plot later. Thank you.